Hi, I'm Claire Smith, Clinical Lead for the Specialist Bladder and Bowel Service at CCICP. So the bladder is a trigon sort of shape, and it's hollow, and it sits in the lower part of the abdomen, and it's attached to ligaments and your pelvic bone. Your bladder is basically a balloon. It's not really that high tech, and it fills up from the bottom, from the ureters, from the kidneys. And within the bladder muscle, which is called the detrusor muscle, it has bladder receptors. And within the bladder receptors, they then send messages to the brain to say when it's full and when it needs to empty. Your bladder is a muscle, and it's got lots of muscle fibres within it, so it helps it to contract and to flatten. And when it contracts and flattens, it sends urine down the urethra and out of the body, and we have a natural void, which is when you pass urine. Micturition reflex. So this is the signals from the bladder that get sent to the brain to tell us when we need to have a wee and to pass urine. So rule of thumb is we get 3 signals. So I'll give you an example. So we get our first signal and we're in the shopping centre and we are at the fruit and veg aisle, and we know that we actually can't go for a wee there. It's not socially appropriate. So we then send a message to our brain to say to keep our internal and external sphincter closed and our pelvic floor not to relax, and we keep the urine in our bladder. We then get a second signal, probably when we're near the till, to say that our bladder is still getting full and is getting fuller. But we still choose to keep the urine there and to keep all those structures and those functions closed. We then get a third signal when we're in the house, we throw our shopping in, we run upstairs, and we have to pass urine before we leak. And we then send a message back to our brains to say to relax the pelvic floor muscle, to open the internal and external sphincter, and we pass urine naturally. What happens when we don't get these signals and we don't get these timely signals to open our bladder and to pass urine is when we get bladder dysfunction. And sometimes this happens when we are in inappropriate places. So we'll pass urine and we'll leak, and we don't even know when we need to go to the toilet. And this is when these pathways get jumbled up, and this can be due to lots of different conditions, such as neuropathic conditions, diabetes, Parkinson's disease, when you've had a stroke or an infarct in your brain, and these neurological pathways aren't as robust as they were, and the signals from the brain to the bladder can get jumbled up or can be very sluggish.